Hi everyone and welcome to another Career Talk session by Grad Australia. I'm Emily and I'll be your host for today. So I'd like to begin today's session with an acknowledgement of country. As we gather for this week, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect the meaning of place and by doing so recognize the various traditional lands on which we do our business today. We acknowledge the elders, past and present, of all the land we work and live on and their ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. And then we extend this respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people here today. I'm joining the call from Brisbane, which is the traditional land of the Turrbal people. So to introduce myself, I'm one of the hosts from Grad Australia, and we hold these career talk sessions on a weekly basis, covering all sorts of topics that help students and graduates. And if you're not familiar with Grad Australia, we're a graduate career site where you can explore and get to know graduate employers. You get a backstage to see what it's like working in a role with them. And then you also get to apply for their programs, get notified of open job opportunities, and hear from them like this webinar today. So if you haven't already set up your account on Grad Australia, then make sure you head over to gradaustralia.com.au and do so. So today's session is about a career in insurance. Is it right for you? Everything you need to know from real world professionals. So we're very lucky to have a bunch of guests who are joining us today to give insights on this topic. So from TAL, we have Fiona, who is a marketing manager, and we have Eliza, who is a senior alliance manager. And then from Gallagher, we have Amanda, who is a national practice leader, national sales. And then we have Mark, who is the head of Metro branches. And then we also have Sarah, who is the head of talent and leadership, and Elizabeth, who is the group HR director. So today I just wanted to start off by first getting you guys all to introduce yourself. So I think we'll start with Gallagher first. So let's start with Amanda, and then we'll go to Mark, and then Elizabeth and Sarah. So Amanda, would you like to start first?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Emily. I'm Amanda Medaglia. As you said, I'm from Gallagher and I am the national practice leader sitting in our national sales team. I have had previous roles in consulting and advisory firms and also international broking houses at Marsh and JLT.
And Mark?
Yeah, so Mark Saunderson, I'm the head of Metro branches. I've been with Gallagher and in the insurance industry for about 10 years now. I started my career professionally in the pharmaceutical industry before moving over to the insurance industry, and that's me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mark. And then if Elizabeth and Sarah would just like to introduce themselves.
Certainly. Thank you. My name is Elizabeth Rees, and I'm the Group HR Director here at Gallagher Australia. I've been fortunate enough to work in insurance for about 10 years of my 20-plus career, and previous roles were in other financial services industries. However, what I have found with insurance, and I think all of you would too, is that it is the industry that keeps on going no matter what else is happening in the economy, and that provides great stability as well as great interest. So we look forward to talking to you a bit more about that over the next couple of minutes.
Hi, I'm Sarah Walsh, Head of Talent and Leadership at Gallagher. I've been here for about 5 years and I look after the graduate program at Gallagher. And we're really keen to talk to you more about what a career in insurance looks like. And I'd be happy to take any queries or questions that you might have afterwards about our program, and really hope that you find insurance just as interesting as we do. So thanks very much.
Awesome. And then I'll pass it over to Fiona. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm Fiona McGing and I'm a marketing manager at TAL. I've been at TAL for over 5 years and I actually started my professional career here. So I was lucky enough to join TAL's graduate program myself in 2017, working across 4 different areas of the business. And then after that, I have largely stayed in the marketing team, but working across a few different roles, including retention, strategy, campaigns, and acquisition. That's me.
Awesome. And then
hi, I'm Eliza Ryan. I'm a Senior Alliance Manager at TAL. Like Fiona, we both started the grad program about 5.5 years ago. We rotated around the business in 4 different areas. Me and Fiona did a few of the same, but a few different ones. Then I took a permanent role in marketing where I worked across digital strategy and direct. And then more recently, I joined the Alliances team working with our biggest partners across Australia. And I'm also studying as well at the moment, doing my MBA.
wow, impressive. Awesome. So I'll pop back on screen. So for everyone watching, if you guys have any questions, just pop them in the comments. We have a bunch of questions that we've prepared, but definitely this is a time to ask. We have, a bunch of people here who are definitely the people you want to ask if you have any questions about working in the insurance industry. So to get started, I'll start off with a bit of a general question for everyone, which is, what led you to the insurance industry? So we'll start off with Fiona and Eliza. So I'll pop Eliza in first.
Sure. So what led me to the insurance industry? Well, my dad is a financial advisor, and then my sister also worked at Life Broker, which is an entity that TAL owns. So I think that I had a very close connection to insurance growing up. And also I applied for lots of different grad programs, but I think insurance really stood out to me because of all of the opportunities and the people that I got to work with and get exposure to on the grad program. That's what really appealed to me to work in insurance.
Awesome. And then Fiona, what?
For me, it was a bit of a happy accident, if I'm honest. I was looking at broader marketing graduate programs, and then I came across TAL promoting their marketing grad program. And my dad is in the industry himself. He's an actuary. So when I mentioned to him, I recognized the name of TAL. And I said, oh, that's a company. I don't know if I'd work there because it's insurance. And then he said, no, insurance is fantastic, as I've learned over the past 5 and a bit years. So I applied, and that's what led me to it. But I'm very happy I ended up here, even though it wasn't a strategic initiative when I was in uni myself.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great to hear. Well, let's go to Mark then. Mark, what led you to join this industry?
Yeah, so I actually got headhunted. It was a happy coincidence. I was at Pfizer at the time. I just finished my MBA, was looking to move back to Canberra from Sydney. And I thought if I was ever going to make a career change, I sort of had to do it then. I'd had sort of 10 years in the pharmaceutical industry and just thought that if I didn't move at the time, I probably wouldn't move. And so the head of recruitment at the time for the company that I joined, which was OAMPS, which was later acquired by Gallagher, just reached out and said, would you be interested in considering a role like this? So after a few conversations and an awful lot of research to try and wrap my head around what I was getting myself in for, I made the leap and I haven't looked back. I think it's a brilliant industry, and I'm so glad that that guy reached out to me and made the phone call and asked the question.
Awesome. And Amanda, what about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I've been in the insurance industry for 25 years plus, and it's where I started, and I still find it very rewarding till today. Similar to Fiona, it's kind of like a happy accident. Many people in the insurance industry will tell you they fell into it, and that once they got into it, they just never leave. I finished uni having done a double degree in psychology and business, and was kind of looking around for a job. Went to a temping agency. They had a role in an insurance company at an entry point. Once I got in there and once I experienced the people, the work, the client side, I never looked back, and I have had a very rewarding and hope to still have a very rewarding career. It's an amazing industry.
Awesome. I think that from all your answers, there was a really common theme of, it wasn't really something that was like on your radar or you were necessarily like, oh, I need to join that. But once you did, you're really happy about it. So I'd love to know, what was it that, once you actually joined the industry made you realize like, oh, this is exactly where I want to be, and that it's so great for future graduates to join into as well. So let's go over to Mark first.
Sure. So I think the thing that really struck me when I initially started was just how diverse it was. So we're in insurance broking, so we have clients that, they range. So there's such diversity in our client base. I had gone sort of 10 years seeing GPs and specialists, and in fairness, great professions, but lots of the same. And my first week in insurance broking, I saw a form worker, I saw an IT contractor, and I saw a not-for-profit. And while there's similarities in the risks that some of those people face and the organizations face, the people themselves were just so different. And I think that's what I've loved about it since I started, was you're just seeing a different person with different issues every single day. And in each case, they're really putting their livelihood in your hands. So there's a huge amount of ownership and pride that comes from getting it right for them.
Awesome. Amanda, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, no, I just say insurance is very much about relationships. As brokers, we sit between insurance companies and we distribute products to our clients. If you're a relationship person, there's a lot of soft skills involved. If you enjoy building relationships, taking complex technical problems and breaking them down into solutions and making them easy for clients to understand, then insurance is the place for you.
Awesome. And let's head over to Eliza. Is there anything you want to say on that?
I'd probably kind of echo Mark's point in diversity, because I think that there is so many different things that you can do. Like I studied what Amanda did at university, where I did a Bachelor of Business in Marketing, a Bachelor of Arts in Criminology and Psychology. And then I ended up I've been in maybe 4 departments now across the business, and like alliances where I'm in now. I didn't have any previous experience, but working in this industry, you have such exposure to so many different careers and different paths that you can take, that it's not just pigeonholed into one area. So I think that's probably the main benefit of working for a large insurance company, for sure.
Awesome. And Fiona, anything to add?
I largely agree with everyone else, but just to talk to Eliza's point a little bit more, the financial services industry is so broad, and insurance is a great leapfrog for that. So you can work in Australia if you start in insurance, but then you could also work overseas. And the people that we work with in insurance are just wonderful. I'm sure there's wonderful people everywhere, but I can definitely say that I enjoy the relationships, the people, and the work is always challenging. It's a highly regulated industry, so there's always a lot you have to adapt to and think on your feet. So if you like a challenge, then you'll probably really enjoy it in insurance.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's what's so interesting. Like, I think maybe at least for me, I know there was a bit of a misconception a couple years ago with insurance and not understanding how many career possibilities are actually out there. So I think it'd be great to just talk a little bit about what the different careers can be. So let's head over to Gallagher. So what are the different career paths you can have with an insurance brokerage? And I know you don't go so deep into it because I know there's so many different ones, but if we can give like a general view just to the grads so they can really realize how many different career options there are. So Amanda, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Emily. I think if you look at the insurance industry and you start with insurance companies and then through to broking houses and then through to our client side, there are many different roles that you will find in the insurance industry. And that's before you even begin to look at the wider environment around the insurance industry, from loss adjusting, right through to, the diversity in the products and the many different avenues of it. And coming back to, I think it was Fiona was saying, it's such a global industry. The insurance skills that you will learn in Australia will translate into the UK, they'll translate into the US. Insurance sometimes is a language of its own. But the skills are very necessary and translate very well into other places in the world.
Awesome. And Mark, was there anything you wanted to add to that at all?
No, I suppose the thing that struck me when I joined was just that, how many different roles, as you've outlined, there are in the industry. Again, on the broking side, even within a broking house, I often say to my team that you can have 4 or 5 careers and never leave Gallagher. We generally focus on the sales and distribution. However, there's product specialty roles within Gallagher. There's obviously all of our support functions in finance, HR, marketing, IT. But then I think, as Amanda's pointed out, there's a whole raft of different options on the insurer side as well. So I think there's a career for everybody in insurance. It's just working out exactly what it is you want to get out of it.
Definitely. And so let's talk a little bit about TAL then. So what kind of careers can you have with an insurance provider? So I'll start with Fiona.
Sure. So I very much echo what Amanda and Mark were saying, in that it is so broad at TAL. You could be anywhere across distribution. Obviously, we've got a huge claims team that do amazing work supporting people get through the toughest moments of their life. If accounting or actuarial is your thing, there's a lot of finance roles. Everyone needs human resources. So my answer to that is really any career you can imagine. In insurance, you can probably access at TAL. We do work through a lot of different channels as well. So with financial advisors, with superannuation companies and direct with clients. So there's really no limit.
Awesome. And I think, Eliza, I'll actually ask you a different question. We'll start to talk a bit about what it's like as a graduate in the insurance industry. So I'd love to hear what graduates can expect when they join the insurance industry. You can speak to what TAL offers, or just general what to expect as well.
Yeah, sure. So TAL offers a graduate program across different business units. So you've got finance, actuarial, technology, and then there's an overall business graduate, which is where me and Fiona sat. And then from there, it's a 2-year program where you rotate around the business for 6 months at a time, where some of them are set, other ones that you get to choose. So say, for example, for my 3rd one, I wanted to join the brand team, so I moved to Sydney for 6 months. So it's very flexible, and it's a program that you can kind of shape to what you want to get out of it and where you want to end up. I don't know, Faye, if you have anything else to add to what TAL's grad program is.
Totally agree with that. I think the one key thing you called out, you joined the brand team. I love the fact that TAL's grad program, you have 3 rotations in your home role and what you're familiar with. And then there's 1 rotation for 6 months where you can join anywhere in the business. So for me, that was health services team. I did a double degree in business, majoring in marketing, and marketing is, of course, where I've ended up. But my other degree was health science. So it was really nice to combine them and be given the opportunity at TAL to explore that area of the business and go through there. for grads in particular, what I've noticed at TAL is you have an opportunity to do whatever you want to do. So if you are someone who will take initiative and say yes to things, to work on different projects, the leaders are really cognizant that you want to be there to learn. They see you as the future leaders of the company, and you'll be given huge opportunities to work on really exciting projects. It's not just like getting the coffee or doing the printing or anything like that. You get to work on some really important projects.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Fiona. Amanda, would you like to talk a bit about what Gallagher graduates can expect?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Emily. So we have a 12-month graduate program. It's designed as a training and development program. You're supported the whole way through. We have 4 rotations where graduates coming in go through our claims, our corporate area, through our different specialisms within the business, and then at the end of it, they get a choice to go into whichever area they found the most interesting or particularly that they got the most out of. So very much like the others were saying, it's something that you can shape yourself, and you get a wide exposure to the business, and it's very well supported through HR and through the senior leaders of the business, because I think as the girls from TAL were saying, you're very much seen as the leaders of the future, and we very much need to nurture that and give you the career that you're looking for.
Awesome. And Mark, do you have any tips or advice on how graduates can make the most out of their grad position at Gallagher?
I think it's been touched on. I think there will be a lot to learn in any role that you start in, any industry that you choose to join. So I think just knowing that coming in, being open to different opportunities, and as Fiona said, taking on and making it known that you want to do more and different things is a really great way to set yourself up for success and get the exposure that you'd want to work out whether or not it's an industry that would be a fit for you long term.
Awesome. And just to kind of touch on what you just said as well, is there any insight you guys had on how someone can figure out whether a career in insurance suits them? Perhaps something that you had to think about before you joined insurance. So I'll start with TAL. We'll go to Fiona first.
Sure. I think at a high level, the whole purpose of insurance is to protect people if something goes wrong. So if you're someone who's altruistic and really cares about others, then a career in insurance in any form will serve you quite well. That, of course, coupled with a curiosity to learn new things, because it is an ever-changing market and environment. So if you're happy to work in an organisation that, I think I mentioned it earlier, is going to challenge you, but also give you a lot of opportunity to help others, then it's a good one to be in. I will say, though, you probably want to have a desk job. You can have opportunities where you go out on the road and you meet people, absolutely, but it is, at least from my perspective, a little bit more corporate. If you're looking for something outside of that, it might not be the best fit for you.
Awesome. And Amanda, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, sure. I think, coming back to what we were saying before, insurance is all about relationships. Client service and good old customer service is front and center of everything that we do in the broking space. Our clients are vitally important to us. One of the things I particularly like about working in the insurance industry, and particularly in broking, is that we very much work in teams. There's a lot of teamwork, a lot of cooperation. I mean, ultimately in insurance, you need the ability to influence and to negotiate. So not only do we have to do that with our clients, but also with our colleagues. So if you're somebody who likes to work in a team, who can compromise and who can do, what's ultimately for the greater good of the clients, then insurance is definitely a place for you.
Awesome. Did anyone else have anything else to add to that?
I might add something. The only thing I would say is if you're interested in the Australian market as a whole, because I think life insurance is heavily impacted by the environment, such as cost of living or interest rates, which are things that are highly topical at the moment. So I think they're things that shape the types of projects you work on and the approaches you take and your prioritization. So I think if you're someone who likes to keep a finger on the pulse as to what's going on in the environment, insurance is definitely something for you.
Awesome. That's a really interesting insight. Okay, so that was really great. Let's talk a bit about career progression then. So, they've got the job, they're in the industry now. What kind of career progression can they expect? I'll head over to Mark for this one first.
It's actually a really tough question to answer for some of the reasons that we've already spoken about. The industry is so broad, so depending on what role they go into, that might look and feel quite different. But
We could talk about career progression according to once they're a graduate and then where they can go on from there.
Yeah, well, I think as has been outlined, depending on the type of role that really takes their interest, there's so many different avenues to expand those roles and grow within the roles. And I think specifically at Gallagher, we have a number of distinct divisions that we work in. And so I think there will always be opportunities for people that exceed expectations in their current role. Again, show that willingness and desire to go above and beyond and learn new things. Really, the possibilities are endless. And I think one of the things that we speak about quite frequently is that part of our growth aspiration is to continue to provide more and more career opportunities for our people. And the career opportunities that exist for us today are going to look very different tomorrow. And that's something that grads would certainly benefit from. We are a growing business, and we model ourselves off what our peers do globally, and we know that there's going to be more and more opportunities for any grad that joins us.
Awesome. Eliza and Fiona, did you have anything to talk about with career progression at TAL after you were graduates?
Yeah, so I think at TAL, it's very much based on how motivated you are and your drive for the career progression that you get. So I think that TAL definitely supports you straight off the grad program to take a position in an area that suits you, and tries to give you a role that would work best for you, and they help you in the last 6 months. TAL also offers, development programs and other P&C programs to try and help you be ready for the roll-off of the graduate program. But, I've been off the program for now a bit over 3 years, and I'm on my 4th role. So it's definitely, there's so many ways of career progression. I think it's just up to you to tailor it and shape it and try and progress.
Awesome. Fiona, did you have anything to add?
I totally echo Eliza's thoughts. I'm really similar. So we've been off the grad program the same time, and I've had 4 different roles. I will say there's a strong opportunity at TAL, and I'm sure it would be the same at Gallagher, for secondments into different roles. So team members are often going on parental leave, or you can have a career break. So when roles open up, they really encourage internal team members to try something new and learn more about a different area of the business, and then potentially come back to where you were originally. Or if you love it, then stay there, and that opens new doors for you in terms of career progression as well.
Awesome, thanks so much. You wanted to add to that? Otherwise, I'll move on to the next question.
Yeah, sure. Just touching on what Fiona said then, I think, being curious and open to learn, and, really see opportunities that are in front of you. The insurance industry is full of opportunities, and being open to them and willing to have a go can really help. But I would just say as well, in all of my insurance career, and certainly here at Gallagher, there is a framework, that's ran through HR in relation to annual reviews and feedback, managers and mentorship programs, and, having that ability to actually sit with your senior managers, every year, talk about career goals, talk about, things that you can improve on. There's a lot of structure in the insurance industry that will actually help and guide people in terms of being able to, identify what their career goals are and how you actually go about succeeding in those. I certainly echo what the others have said, though, in terms of in this industry, you make your own luck. I have seen people sit in the same job for 20 years, and they're quite happy to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the kind of person you are, you will definitely have a job for life in insurance, and you can choose that path. Equally, I have seen graduates come in, and over the 20-year period that I've been around, I've seen one in particular who started, focusing on an emerging risk, which was weather related. He then went on to take that product that he designed, in conjunction with insurers, and he took that product all the way to New York and ended up as a senior executive working for a New York-based insurance company. He has since returned to Australia, and he continues to work and develop that product today. So it really is up to the individual, but at the same time, there's an excellent support framework that you can tap into and really develop career goals to make the most of whatever it is that you want to do.
Awesome. And does Gallagher offer international opportunities for, employees at Gallagher?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Gallagher's an international company. I think we have something like 850 offices around the world. I certainly know colleagues who have taken positions overseas, and then come back and develop things further. And yeah, it's very representative of the wider insurance community that, you certainly can take these skills overseas. A lot of our clients now are global, and what they're looking for is a global approach from their insurance brokers, so that we can actually, match what they do and how they do it. So we would often have global teams across Gallagher working on the one client that, feed into teams in whether it's the UK, the US, or here. So there's absolutely the ability to move and to take up positions. So yeah, it's like we said, good support, but you make your own luck, and you can take it as literally as far as your imagination can allow you to go.
So for a graduate who's, interested in joining Gallagher and eventually would like to look at overseas opportunities, do you have any suggestions on how they can go about that and plan that out?
Yeah, sure. So once you've done that graduate rotation through the divisions, you'd want to get yourself into an area where they are working on international clients and dealing with, your colleagues internationally. You'd get yourself into one of those teams. You would then start to look at, opportunities that are overseas. You would obviously start to build relationships with colleagues overseas and, start those conversations. You would flag early on when we do these reviews with HR that this is one of your career goals. That would then, set off a whole chain of events in terms of, we're very aware of where our needs are as a company, not just here in Australia, but also internationally. So just putting your hand up and saying that this is something you're interested in, to me in my career, anybody who's wanted those opportunities has been able to, have them become a reality.
Great. That's really cool to hear. So just over to Eliza, was there any international opportunities or overseas things similar to what Gallagher has mentioned that TAL offers?
So TAL is an Australian company, but our parent company is Dai-ichi Life, and they're a Japanese company. And they're, I think, in the top 5 around the world. And so we have different insurance companies all around the world. So say in the US, there's Protective, and there's other companies all around the world. So I think it depends if that's something you're looking for. I think you can definitely speak to HR and see if there are any opportunities that you can go overseas, or do us a comment, say in Singapore, or completely up to you.
Awesome. Interesting to hear. Yeah, I think there's a big trend nowadays of, graduates that get out of university, they eventually want to go overseas. So I think that's great if they can get that opportunity to do so with the company they work for. Okay, so let's talk about the next topic I wanted to cover, which is just around the interview stage. This would be super helpful for any of the, graduates or students listening when they're, trying to apply to TAL or Gallagher. So do you have any advice on how they can stand out in the interview? Anything you guys wish you knew when you were going through the interview process? We'll start with Fiona.
Sure. So I think for the interview process, it's obviously really important that you do your research. So know the company, have some good market knowledge, understand the challenges that the company would be facing at that point in time. For TAL, I know that our culture is really important. So on our website, you can learn about the culture, and that would be my tip for any interviews, not just knowing the role that you want to do and how that fits into the company, but how you would fit into the company more broadly and how you could contribute to their culture. I think it's also important to know why you want to work there, and that would align very much to the culture. what you can bring, and how you can stand out. So what makes you different to everyone else? How would you be able to support the company and what the company can do for you?
Awesome. Liza, did you have anything to add to that one?
I definitely would echo what Fiona was saying. Fiona and I also get to review some of the grad applications that come through. So we definitely notice things that stand out. I think, like to Fiona's point, culture is a huge one for us. So I think if you have passions outside of work, outside of university, things like that really stand out because it shows you're committed to things. Yeah, I think that would be a main one. I think as well, try and do any internships or any work experience that you can while you're still at university. So you can start working out the things you do and don't like, and you can bring that to the interview.
Sounds great. Okay, so I'll head over to Mark now. Mark, was there anything you wanted to comment on that?
Oh, I think like any interview, it's really easy for me to say now. I tend to sit on the other side of the table, but ultimately just bring yourself to the interview. I mean, we want to, like every company I'm sure does, want the best of you, whatever that looks and feels like. We want to allow and create an environment where people can be themselves. I think we've spoken a fair bit today around the importance of that with clients and with relationships. And in our industry, people buy people. So we want to see who you are, how you operate, and we want you to feel comfortable enough to do that at an interview like we would after you join Gallagher. I think on the research side, I think the only part that I would add to what's been said is I really think there's value in picking up the phone or trying to find other people that work in the industry or potentially even the division that you're interested in. You'll tend to find that people are very open to and love talking about what they do, the great things about it, some of the challenges that might be there. But I think that will help shape that interview and help you stand out because you'll have a level of knowledge and a feel for the organisation, the industry that some of your peers may not have.
Awesome. And by that, do you mean reaching out to them on like LinkedIn, even prior interview or even before then, just when you're thinking about, where you want to go?
LinkedIn is a great way to do it. If you have any contacts at all within the industry that you're looking to join, I think tap into those networks as well. But whether it's online via LinkedIn or any other means, I just think having the opportunity to talk with people who are currently in it will just give you a flavour for it that others may not have, and hopefully that comes across at the interview stage.
Do you have any suggestions on, so one thing you mentioned before is, being yourself and the importance of that. I think as a fresh graduate or, still a student, it can be really daunting and nerve-wracking to be going to these interviews, getting interviewed by, someone like yourself, Mark, with years of experience can definitely be daunting. Do you have any tips or advice on how they can, calm themselves down, not be so overwhelmed and anxious? Anything that you might do potentially when you're about to meet with the client that might make you a little bit nervous or anxious?
Yeah, I think that research certainly helps, right? When you feel prepared, whether it be a client visit or an interview or a presentation like this, if you've done the work beforehand and you're comfortable and confident with the content, then you tend not to have the same level of nerves. It's the same at university. Anytime you have to give a presentation. But I would just say as well, the interview process, it does feel really daunting. But the truth of the matter is we wouldn't be interviewing people if we didn't think they had great potential. And so I think as a potential candidate, you have to remind yourself of that ultimately the person interviewing you wants to see you perform to your best. Because they've got you in front of them for a reason. And so for me, that gives me a little bit of confidence when I go into those situations that I probably wouldn't be here unless the person that's interviewing me thought that I had something to offer.
Yeah, I think you can take that one step further as well. I mean, they are actively looking to recruit. They're sitting there looking at you and they're looking for reasons not to employ you. Like they're almost like saying, okay, this is a person we could really do with this person. Are there any red flags as to why we shouldn't employ this person? So it's, it's knowing your own worth. Like they said about research, coming back to what Eliza was saying, almost stalk people in the industry that are on a similar level to you and find out what their backgrounds are. where they came from, where they're coming to. But yeah, pretty much relax, be yourself, absolutely be yourself. And, one tip that was given to me was whenever you're talking to somebody in a professional or a formal way and you're nervous, think about it as if you're talking to like your grandma, let that part of you come out and explain yourself and explain in such a way that it's just, there's less formality and more about you. Typically when we talk to family members, we explain things in such a way that just takes away the nervous edge and allows us to be ourselves.
Awesome. Yes, I think that's so true. The fact that they don't want you to not be the person, like they're just waiting for the perfect candidate to walk into the door. So if you can tick all that boxes, that's their dream. Everyone's rooting for you. And yeah, like you guys said, reach out, connect to people. You've got 4 people here on the line who you can literally reach out to on LinkedIn, ask questions to, or set up a chat with if you're, wanting to learn more. So there's no reason not to. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the interview stage, and what about preparing for, so they say they've gotten a job, they're just about to start it, they're starting their grad job. Any suggestions on how to prepare for it? I know one big one would be, research, but is there any really unique things that you think, just starting and doing as a graduate really helped you? I'll go over to Fiona first.
Sure. Well, I think Mark mentioned it before, that the company is looking for the potential in you. And don't forget that once you've got the job, you've got the grad role, they are trusting that you have that potential. So there's nothing to be nervous about. So in preparing for the job, it would almost be reminding yourself just to be confident and to go in. You're honestly not expected to know everything. You're not even expected to know a whole lot at all. You'll get a lot of support on the job and working through it. So if you have already done all that research as part of the interview process, I would say there's not a huge amount more to do. Maybe have a look at on LinkedIn who your team might be. If you know who your manager is, learn a little bit about them. But outside of that, be across the industry, but just be yourself.
Awesome. Amanda, is there anything you'd like to touch on that? Oh, sorry. 1 second. There you go.
I was going to say just some really practical things for your first day. Make sure that literally how long is it going to take me to get to work? What's the most efficient way to get there? How am I actually going to do this? When I arrive, who is it that I'm going to ask for at reception? Take a small amount of stationery with you, because you never know what's going to happen on the first day when you get there. I mean, companies like Gallagher, we have robust onboarding programs and inductions that will give you all the information you need. But, coming into a company on the first day, have some small talk ready. Rehearse it with your mum the day before, how to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about yourself, have something to say about what you might have done on the weekend. Just small things to break the ice so that when you go in there, you come across as a very personable person. I think there can never be enough said about emotional intelligence. A lot of the time at university, you're coming through, it's all about academics. But once you step outside of university, it's not so much about that anymore. It's now about, well, how well can I take these academic skills, mix them with emotional intelligence and soft skills, and actually be part of a team. So just be ready to be open, have a go, have a chat, and be yourself.
Sounds great. I think that, just those small things, like, even packing a water bottle, or like packing some snacks, taking medicine with you. You'd be surprised. Sometimes you can't find medicine. Maybe that's my experience. So Eliza, did you have anything you wanted to add to that question?
Yeah, I think just to add to Amanda's point, I think that networking is something that is underrated. Like, I think if you meet people on your first day, every person you meet, you don't know who they are. So I think it's always worth putting in the effort to get to know people who you're around, because you don't know who you're talking to or what opportunity may be provided off the back of it. Like, for example, I had a networking event, I think on our second day as grads in our induction, and I was speaking to a woman for about half an hour and found out she was the chief executive of customer, and I ended up getting a rotation in her department when that wasn't even part of the grad program at the time. So I think it's just trying to maximize all opportunities and get to know people on a personal level.
Awesome. Yeah, I think networking is just such an important skill for literally all grads in all industries. So would love to go over to Mark and ask Mark if you have any networking tips or advice that you've learned. I know networking can be quite challenging sometimes, like thinking about what to say next, how to maintain the relationship after you've met someone, anything you like to do when you're networking?
I think Amanda touched on some of it. I mean, one of the things that makes networking challenging and awkward is that sometimes you don't know where to go next. So having a few little points, whether it's your personal life, whether it's activities that you like to do, or whether it's interests within the role or the industry or the work that you do, again, that gives you that sense of preparedness that allows that to be a far more enjoyable experience and hopefully productive. I do think there's like the interview process or taking on a new role, there is a level of research and prep that can be done that helps that as well. Whether it's starting a new role and working out who's who in the zoo and doing a little bit of stakeholder mapping, but oftentimes the same is true for some of those networking events that you will attend. There will be an opportunity. You might already know who's going to be at that event. So understanding who they are, how they fit in is really important, but also helps you feel more comfortable in that situation to know those things before you go in.
Definitely. And I think one tip I always learned that, if you're ever struggling to maintain a conversation or, it just feels like you're constantly in your head thinking about what to say next, which doesn't feel natural, it's likely just because you're thinking about yourself too much. And what you really need to do is just focus on the other person. And naturally, as you begin to focus on them, you'll worry less about all your anxieties and nervousness of, meeting and speaking to this new person. And you'll eventually come onto a topic that you both have some sort of, mutual interest in, or they're really passionate about. And it'll be great because there's nothing people love more, especially, when you're networking with others, than speaking about themselves and sharing their, experience, especially to graduates who are just entering the workforce. So I think networking is so important. Okay, so we're sort of coming to the end. So I would love to do like a round of final advice for students and graduates who are interested in the insurance industry and just students and graduates overall. So let's just do any final pieces of advice you'd like to share. So I'll start off with Amanda.
Yeah, sure. I think, as we've been saying, you make your own success in the insurance industry, by continually learning and by keeping up to date with emerging risks. At the moment, we're facing challenges with, for our clients on behalf of ESG, climate change. We have very challenging problems with coal-related clients. Keeping up to date with emerging risk and specialising and becoming an expert in those fields so that you can actually add value to a conversation. I think going back to what Eliza said before, insurance touches so many parts of the economy that by keeping up to date with the news, keeping up to date with what's going on in politics, it can take you a long way in insurance and really, apply that knowledge. I always think one good thing about the insurance industry is that you're part of a solution. At the end of the day, planes wouldn't fly, major construction projects wouldn't happen, astronauts wouldn't be on the moon, hospitals wouldn't operate if it wasn't for insurance. So what we do and how we do it provides real solutions across such a diverse nature. But by keeping up with topical things that are in the news, it can really take you a long way in insurance.
And just to Mark.
Yeah, for me, insurance, everyone's spoken about the breadth of the industry and the opportunities. There is a role for everyone. I think put yourself in the best position possible by being yourself at the interview and after you join. Bring your drive, bring your desire, and just be open to the learning, because there will be a lot to learn. And I often liken new roles or new industries to a little bit like a roller coaster ride. Just when you think you've got it figured out, you realize how much there is left to learn. And you go back down to going, I don't know anything. Just be prepared for that, but know that the outcome is great. It's a fantastic industry, and you won't look back if you do decide to join.
Awesome. And I'll go to Fiona.
Like everyone said, the huge opportunities in insurance are the key reason that I think people should join. I know that when you're in uni, or at least for me, insurance doesn't sound as sexy as potentially some of the industries that are out there. But given everything that we've talked about today, there is really exciting projects. And like Amanda touched on, all of the emerging technologies that are coming up, there will always be a place for insurance. Even just looking back over the past 2 years with the pandemic, it was awful what was happening in a lot of industries, but we were lucky to have that job security by working in insurance as well. So, bring yourself to the interview. I think consider it if you hadn't been considering it. And if you're aware of it already, then look into what's changing and what's exciting about the industry.
Awesome. And I'll go to Eliza.
I'd only just say that insurance is definitely worth considering due to how broad it is and how it kind of sets you up with the foundations in financial services industry as a whole. And I think it really gives you diversifiable skills that can be leveraged across multinational organizations all around the world. So I think it's a great opportunity. Might, like Fee said, definitely doesn't sound as exciting as other industries like marketing, makeup or chocolate, but it's definitely a career for the long term, I would say.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks so much, guys, for all your insights today. Super duper helpful. I think we covered a bunch of topics that would really be interesting to students and graduates. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to contact us at Grad Australia, or you can also reach out to TAL or Gallagher or any of our speakers, ask them any questions. So if you guys are looking for, any more career talk sessions, just check out our socials. We have a bunch. We host them on weekly basis. There may be some that are also suitable to your friends or people you know. So make sure you're also sharing them with people you know. So would you guys like to just share the current open job opportunities, and then we'll wrap that up and head off? So I'll head to Amanda, and then maybe Sarah or Elizabeth want to share what job opportunities that are currently available at Gallagher.
Hang on 1 second.
Hi, it's Sarah. We're currently going through recruitment at the moment, so applications are open. Please apply via Grad Australia or directly on our website. We'd love to hear from you. Everybody has sent the clear message that it's just an open conversation. Bring yourself to the interview and your application and talk to us about what your experiences have been. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn or at Gallagher, then feel free to do so. I'm happy to have a conversation about what's on offer. But we've got opportunities in both Sydney and Melbourne at the moment. We'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. And, sorry, Matt. Yeah, sorry. I thought you were moving back to someone else to speak. Okay, so Fiona or Eliza, would one of you like to speak on this?
Sure, I can talk to it. At the moment, TAL is in the same situation. We have our applications open for graduates, and that's across Melbourne and Sydney as well. So we're looking at an intake of 25 graduates across finance, actuarial, technology, and business disciplines. I will say that business is quite broad, so it doesn't really matter as much what your specific degree is. Then if you come, there's probably an opportunity for you, so have a look at it. And the applications are closing on the 26th of August. So if you would like to apply through Grad Australia or our website, then feel free to do so. And feel free to reach out to Eliza or I on LinkedIn. We're happy to have a chat, having gone through the grad program ourselves.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for joining today and sharing all your insights. So like you guys heard, make sure you go and apply for those job opportunities. You can also check out TAL and Gallagher's profiles on Grad Australia. We've put them throughout the video just below, but you can also see it in the description, or just head over to Grad Australia and search them up. On there, we have a bunch of things. You can really get a behind the scenes view into what it's like to work with them. There's articles, videos, literally everything. It's going to be really helpful. So make sure you go and check that out. And then there's also the job opportunities there. So it's all in one place. And yeah, so make sure you guys stay tuned for any future webinars that we have and share them with all your fellow students or friends. And thanks so much for tuning in today. And thanks to all our speakers again. And that's the end of our session today. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Emily.